Good evening, podcast fans. 2 nights in a row, Chris, seeing your bright face.
I know. It's
No pun
too
intended.
much. 2 nights too many.
And I know the Olympics are on tonight. And I've we were gone for the first week, so we kind of got into them last night. And so I apologize for anybody who wants to watch the Olympics who may be watching us instead. But we'll try and make this a fun, quick episode for you guys tonight.
Yeah, we got to get the news out there.
We do. So we welcome back to the July DCL News Recap Show. And joining me again tonight is Chris down in LA. How you doing tonight, Chris?
Pretty good. Cannot complain. It is still real hot in California, like upper 90s.
And joining us down in Tampa, our wonderful East Coast contributor. How you doing today, Steve?
I'm good. How are you? Definitely hotter here, though. Can't compete. Feels like 106 today.
Yeah, the humidity of Florida causes that state to just not exist in my brain for 8 months out of the year.
It's rough.
I love it. Hey, this is awesome, man. We have hello from Bruno. He says hi from Brazil. How you doing, Bruno? And I think that is our first international shout out on one of our live shows. So thanks for joining us tonight, Bruno. Nice. And I'm in my wonderful studio in Indianapolis. I'm changing studios nightly.
Yes, the lovely corporate hotel room.
It's the redesigned contemporary.
I thought you were going to go there.
Look at that.
Oh, man. All right. Well, with the snark there, we are going to jump into some DCL July news. And he says it's great down in Brazil. It's awesome to have you, Bruno. We're going to jump into July's news recap. We got a lot of topics to talk about tonight, some fun things. But let's kick it off with the fact that Disney Cruise Line has resumed sailings. Yes, the beautiful Disney Magic. She's underway right now, plying her way through the Irish Sea on a 3-night staycation out of the wonderful port of Liverpool. She's begun sailing out of Liverpool right now. She's going to be doing 2, 3, and 4-night staycation sailings out of 4 different UK ports. So for any UK listeners over there, if you have not booked your cruise yet, I know that there are still some availability on some later sailings. I believe Liverpool actually sold out.
Really?
Well, sold out because of limited capacity.
Correct.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we've heard. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think I'm fairly certain the capacity increased from the first couple that they did because the UK added additional guidance in the middle of that. So I don't know. And I did hear also that they were offering they overbooked the first couple and offered people like a 50% refund to book another cruise. That's a whole different story, but so they're changing capacity is the point I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, so talking to our friends the Towlers, they're actually on board right now. They talked about that and they said that initially they overbooked and Disney did it based on thinking that they were going to up the capacity based on, and I'm talking out of my ear here a little bit, but based on
the government said they were thinking of doing at some milestone in COVID made Disney predict a higher capacity than it ended up being, probably due to the Delta variant.
But they actually were able to up that capacity after either the beginning sailing or maybe the second or third sailing. So, but I don't want to get into the minutia, and that's why we're not going to touch on too much of the differences of what's going on over there right now, just because I think things are changing as each sailing goes on. We do know that they are featuring only one theatrical show per sailing, one of the big shows in the theater, but they do have a lot of the other onboard entertainment. The Towers had actually already won trivia
within like 4 minutes of getting on the ship. They were like, look, everybody, we have our medals. I was like, this ship has not even left the port.
And I gotta say, I still say this, I think that our one trivia round of winning, which is kind of a suspect, because, and I can tell you that story later, because there's only 3 of us playing, and it was I think we hit 50% to win, and that is not going to cut it on the dream, is it, Steve?
No way. There's some ringers on there.
Yeah.
Anyways, I will still say that our trivia medal may be more important to me than my marathon medal. So it's definitely harder to win. All the dining locations are open. Masks are required when moving around indoors, except for when you're in your stateroom and eating. They are not required on the pool deck. And we will have a trip report, I'm hoping next week at the soonest, to get John and his family's experiences on the Disney Magic. We've had a couple other people reach out to us, so we're going to try and bring as many of those as we can and kind of detail some of the changes that are going on over there on the Magic. But besides the Magic sailing, Chris, why don't we jump into news story number 2?
All right. So DCL announced that sailings are going to resume in the U.S., which is exciting. Of course, we are going to be starting on the Disney Dream beginning August 9th. I actually know people who, when Disney announced that it was going to be on the 9th, they were like, there's still availability, let's book it. So that cruise was not sold out when they announced that it would be the first cruise back in the US. And so, yeah, it might be sold out now. I should have checked before we started, but all sailings are going to be from Port Canaveral. They're going to do their typical 3 and 4 night sailings. All cruises in August are going to be featuring the elusive 2 stops at Castaway Cay, which normally you have to pay big money for. Those are hard to book itineraries. And there are some people who are real excited about it. And there are some people who are like, hey, I wanted to go to Nassau. So if you were hoping to go to Nassau, sorry, you're going to Castaway twice. And those cruises in September are going to feature stops at both Nassau and Castaway Cay. And that's something Disney has extended their flexible payment and cancellation policy, which is something they introduced due to COVID. And that policy is extended through December 31st. And that basically allows you to cancel closer. I don't know exactly what the exact date, but you can cancel due to COVID-related travel restrictions or things like that, which is cool because normally you would need trip insurance to be able to cancel a cruise too close to the cruise date.
I didn't want to get too much in the woods in that, but if for more information, you can go to DisneyCruise.com or DisneyCruiseLine.com, and you can find out information on the payment. The payment is now 60 days prior, and the cancellation, I think, has to do, depends upon which sailing you're on as well. Steve, are you excited that it's your ship, the Disney Dream, that is sailing first out of the U.S.?
I think it's great. We almost booked like a 3-night on a lark after a few too many glasses of wine one night, trying to predict when it would start up again. And then quickly realized that the 9th is actually the start of school. We were going to do like the 6th through the 9th, that 3-night, and that's the start of school. So it wouldn't have happened anyway, but I'm pumped for the people that can go. It's really interesting. It is literally the first day of school here in Central Florida, which I don't necessarily. 9th? Yeah, go back early here.
I'm just still in the millennial mindset of like school starts in September, but I actually think in the most of the country, August is when school starts now for almost everybody.
Yeah. It's when I went to school in New York, it was after Labor Day, but a lot of people start well before then, and they start here on the 9th. I don't think that's by design by any means, because I was like, oh, they're going to have less kids on board as a result because locals can't bring their kids. It's starting school, but obviously that's not the case. But I think it's great, and I'm very, very curious. I'll be listening to hear the first couple trip reports on here, I'm sure. Do you have anybody that you know that's going, Steve?
We've got
that are coming on, or
yeah, we've got 2 people lined up so far for the 9th, and then a couple of people lined up for the 13th. And yay, Katie's listening tonight. Katie and Lake, they will be on. I know the 13th sailing from Mouse Jan. They will have a lot. If you're not following them on YouTube, make sure you go over and check out their YouTube channel.
Go follow them.
Yeah, I know that they're going to come away. They've got a lot of Disney Cruise Line videos up there, along with Run Disney, some park stuff as well. And so I know they'll have a lot of video up after they get back from that cruise. If Lake is not having too much fun enjoying himself.
So for our longtime listeners, our take on these next couple cruises is that we're going to do a bunch of trip reports from them because there's a lot of different angles. We've also not had a real trip report in over 18 months. So, come back and listen to hear different hot takes and opinions from folks who have cruised on these new sailings in August on the Disney Dream.
Definitely. So lots of different angles there. We're going to try and pump out as many of those as we can as we kind of go along as they start out. Also, and not to be forgotten, the Disney Fantasy will be doing test sailings through August, and I think she's set for a September start. I'm not sure if they've actually announced that. Do you guys know as far as what her first sailing will be?
I don't think they announced that yet.
I don't think they've announced it, but we know basically there's some people who have like heard ahead of time. We know that it's definitely the Fantasy next, and it's exciting. And we'll also do trip reports on that, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So Lake says currently looking at snorkel masks for Castaway. Just stay away from those nurse sharks, Lake. That's a little inside story. Steve, before we move on to our next story, tell all our listeners, that's the Dream has been the ship that you guys have sailed on the most. What makes the Dream special, and what are some of your favorite things to do or places to hang out at on the Dream?
I don't know what it is. I think part of it is just we've been on that ship the most, and usually Disney trips, it's kind of the more the merrier for us. That are memorable. And so our family, we had a larger family trip on the Dream, and it was a lot of our family's first trip on there. And it's fun if you've been on a bunch and you see other people come on for the first time. It's really fun. I love the Dream. The Dreams. So one of the little minor differences between the Dream and the Fantasy is the pub. The Dream has a much nicer pub. The Fantasy's pub is actually kind of a little bit odd. It's smaller. And the Dreams pub is much sleeker, and it's larger and a little bit more inviting. I know that, and it's just usually a place when my kids were really young, particularly, literally talking 10 months old, that we brought my son on first. I would go up there for a nightcap when everyone was asleep in my room, and I would just hang out there. And if you've ever been on a Disney cruise ship in the adult areas after 10 o'clock, there's not a lot of people there. And I actually met some cast members that played at and entertainers that worked at Epcot, and had a great conversation. So it's fun to just meet people out at that time, and there's not many folks there. And we've always encountered, like all the ships, the most amazing cast members and stuff. They work really hard because they turn that ship around fast. 4 and 3 nights, they work their butts off on that ship. It's such a quick turnover, and people are on board for a long time. So relative to port intensive trips, so awesome ship.
Chris, any thoughts on the Dream?
The Dream was our first ship, and I know people say that your first ship is your favorite. I don't actually feel strongly about those specific differences because I don't super remember the Dreams pub. Maybe I just was too into it, but I think the Fantasy has some really whimsical adult touches, like a carousel bar looking thing. And although the Dream is it the Dream that has the champagne, the one that's like bubbles, glass bubbles all over the walls, and it's like decorated like the inside of a champagne bottle? Because that's pretty cool. So I don't know. I feel like I like whatever ship I'm on. I've never been on the Wonder though. I literally host a podcast about Disney Cruise Line, and I've never been on the Wonder, and it sails out of my home state. So I think what you may hear in the coming weeks or months is that Seth and I have booked on the Wonder because we are desperate. We had 2 cruises on the Wonder canceled during this pandemic. So I'm excited to be able to compare all 4. And I feel like I have to get it under my belt before we sail on the Wish.
The great white whale of the Disney Cruise Line fleet, the Disney Wonder. So tough to get on.
That was my first ship, 2001.
That was our first ship too, as well. So love the Wonder. All right. Let's see. We had a couple of things here. Christy says, hi, guys. Christy's not here tonight. Well, she was supposed to be out on a beach vacation, and so we kind of scheduled this with the 3 of us, and so that's why she's not here. But that beach vacation got kind of messed up because of some red tide or something like that. So shout out to Cammie. How you doing, Cammie? She says, hey, y'all. And Chris, go on the Wonder in April, and I'll buy you a drink. So I apologize. I apologize. That comes from our Patreon feed. I think that's Chad. I'm not sure if it is or not, but unfortunately, our Patreon feed comes up as Facebook user, and I need to figure out a way to fix that. So, all right, moving on to news story number 3. Steve, why don't you run with that one?
Yeah. Disney Magic added some additional sailings October through mid-November, and these were replacing the canceled New York City sailings. The added sailings are 3 and 4 night sailings to the Bahamas out of Miami, and of course stopping at Nassau and Castaway Cay. And they added the themed Halloween on the High Seas sailings for October. So yeah, Magic's going back over to Miami, which it's very familiar with, and doing 3 or 4 nights. So there's no Key West and all that stuff is out right now, right? That's not happening.
Yeah, the ordinance was overturned in Key West, so currently cruise ships are technically allowed to go there, but it's still being litigated and argued about. So I think that's what's up. It's like not high on DCL's priority list because they're like, maybe we don't go to somewhere controversial right now when we've just started sailing back.
Yeah, true. So that's some good news.
Definitely good news. Halloween on the High Seas. Who's been on? We've done one. That was our last sailing, 2019, Halloween on the High Seas. Who's done a Halloween on the High Seas sailing here?
I have, yeah, on the Fantasy.
Thoughts on that?
We liked it. I mean, we enjoyed it. I thought, they do a great job decorating the ship. I mean, I really loved. I thought the Maritime Cruise, if I had to compare it, was definitely better for us. And it was fine. It's one day where they do the events and trick or treating. It's not like intensive, so kids enjoyed it. Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
I love the theming in the lobby. I love the Halloween tree when they did the story in the evening. That was really cool. My kids are a little older. They weren't really too excited about the trick or treating, but if you're into the trick or treating, I guess it's kind of similar to going to one of the Halloween parties at Disney World, Disneyland, where they have the treats available.
Yeah, and I think they did like a Nightmare Before Christmas. Like there's a thing in the theater, and maybe a deck show too. So there's some other things aside from just the trick or treating stuff and the decorations, but it's a lot of fun. We
went to this. I think the best thing that we went to was there was like some kind of like captain telling old ghost stories, and it wasn't the captain.
Oh yeah.
It was like a filmed sea captain. It was up on the funnel vision. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and it wasn't foggy, but it was just like super misty in the air, and it was dark, but yet it was warm sitting out there. And we were up there with our kids, and we loved it. That was it was kind of spooky but cool.
Yes, and I think they kind of like make some appearances throughout the day. Yeah. And if I remember leading up to that, my son was a little scared for sure. Yeah, but he was 3, but.
And so that was Elizabeth that is going to buy you a drink on the Wonder in April, Chris, if you go on. So
wait, I wonder, is Liz going on the Wonder in April?
Yeah.
So we just need to sail together. I hear you. Okay. I mean, maybe. Who knows? That could be the timing that works out best for us. All I know is that I got to go on the Wonder before August of next year, which is when I'm going on the Wish.
Okay. Let's see. Chad says, I'm late. Hey, did the Fantasy ever do a test cruise, or are they bridging data and protocol from the Dream? No, I think each ship has to do an individual test cruise, which is why Twisty. Chris, sorry, Christy, which is why Christy was on the Allure of the Seas. So each one of the ships actually has to do one of their own test cruises under the way that they're sailing. So I believe that one is coming up the end of August is when they're sometime like the 27th or something like that. Maybe I can't remember exactly when she's sailing. So, all right, let's go into our fun topic of tonight because it all revolves around the Wish. And I want to bring up a point that you said last night, Chris, because I think you really hit something on the head that I didn't really acknowledge that you brought up. And if you don't remember it, I'll remind you. But Steve, why don't you take us into our next topic, which is all about the Disney Wish.
Yeah, this is our most exciting topic. It's probably an episode in and of itself, right? The Disney Cruise Line on Disney Parks blog released a video highlighting the new theme spaces and upgrades to the spa areas aboard the Disney Wish. The spa will feature Disney's first ever outdoor spa retreat, which I think they're calling the Rainforest Air. I think it's the same kind of concept. Untangled Salon and Hooks Barbary.
Oh, go ahead.
Yep.
Let's stop after that one. Don't go into the restaurants, but we'll talk about the spa first, then the restaurants.
Yeah, let's dig in.
Oh no, go ahead and you can finish what the last part. Sorry, I cut you off.
No problem. I got to the Untangled Salon, Hooks, and each is inspired by a classic Disney film. So the spa areas are actually themed as well, which is pretty cool. The adult areas, that is.
And Chris, I know you've taken a look at the spa areas. What are your thoughts on what they've done for the Senses? I believe they're going to still call it Senses Spa on board the Disney Wish.
Yeah, so I think that the rainforest area is a bigger moneymaker for them than treatment rooms. I'm sure they make a lot of money off of massages and things like that, but you don't need to have a massage therapist or a specialized person to just say, pay to get into this part of the ship and play with the toys that we have put here. And it's literally just like, I don't know, different scented showers and different temperature showers. Now there's this big outdoor area that's part of that experience, which they haven't really had before. So it's essentially like they've created a more serene pay to get in area that I feel like makes a lot more sense for the spa, in my opinion. I don't know. We have never booked a massage. I think we've never booked a massage on a Disney cruise. And we're actually the type of people who would maybe book a massage. But on a cruise, I'm like, that's not really my like top priority. So, but Rainforest Room popping in and out throughout the day, I'm totally into that. Likewise, the nail salon, like the Hooks Barbery, and then is it Tangled themed?
Untangled.
Yeah.
Untangled
is the
yeah. So that's interesting to me. I've been on ships that have barber shops where I feel like every time I've been by that, I have never seen someone in there getting their beard trimmed or their hair cut. Because I just don't think that oftentimes people think, I'm going on vacation, and while I'm on vacation, I'm going to get a haircut.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe there's a sense of like, I got to dress up for family photos, or, I want to, get in on the action of Bippity Boppity Boutique, but I'm an adult, so where can I go? So maybe that will become popular. But looking at the pictures, it looks like a very small portion of the ship is being dedicated, especially to the Hooks Barbery. And so maybe I'm completely wrong, and those will end up being big money makers and people will love that. But the rainforest part of it makes so much sense to me.
Chad says, fact, they make a mint on fancy showers. I totally agree with that. And he's going to be on the Wonder on March 20th. So if it doesn't work for you to go with Liz, you can go with Chad and his family on March 20th on the Great White Whale. Maria says, I can't wait. It's like an oasis of It's like an oasis of noise detox, laughing out loud, I hope. Husband did Salon on the Dream as an alternative to doing a great massage. So
okay, so the husband did like a probably beard oil, shaving, whatever, which I'm not knocking it. I think that's great. Yeah. So yeah, please, I will probably be trying both the Untangled Salon and the Barbery because that's how I roll. So I'm excited.
Steve, have you been in the rainforest room? Have you ever gotten a rainforest pass?
Yeah, I did it when we had a week on the Fantasy. My wife and I did it, and if the kids were like napping or asleep in the room, we just alternate and go out there. And it was before the price increase, because there was a pretty significant price increase at one point. It was so worth it. It was almost like a best kept secret. It was worth it just to use, like, the showers in there are pretty awesome, just to go down and like have your own space and get ready. Yeah. And my wife has used Senses Spa before, and the experience was just as good, if not better, than when she got one massage at the Grand Floridian, which is also, run by the same company. So she loved it. And I think that was also when we did a week on board. I feel like those things, kind of get more hits, obviously, the longer that you're on. Sure. we don't usually, which is interesting with the Wish, that it's doing 3 and 4 night, but of course, long term it'll change up. But I'm definitely curious to see the spaces. I think it's great that they're, enhancing the adult spaces as well and reimagining them.
Okay, a couple more comments. Shout out to Dennis. How you doing tonight, Dennis? Good to see you. as well. Maria says the only drawbacks of the spa is the cells at the end of the product, so it's a turnoff. My wife agrees with you on that, Maria. She's loved the spa. She's done a spa actually on every cruise that we've done, or she's done a massage on every cruise that we've done. That's kind of my gift to her for dealing with the kids while I'm gone. But she kind of says the same thing. It's a little bit of a turnoff when you get the sales pitch at the end because you have this great experience. It'd almost be better. I mean, I know that this doesn't quite work, but if they could do it at the beginning and then just let you go. But I know that's not the way it's set up.
It's rough. The sales pitch is stressful, I think, for a lot of people because it's not the normal Disney way. I feel like there isn't other parts of the ship where you're going and having people unless you go to I was going to say a DVC pitch, but actually there's so many people at a DVC pitch that you're in and out pretty quick there too. So the spa is the most high pressure sales environment on the ship. And I don't know, it's not my favorite product because of that.
I think it's interesting that Disney allows Senses to operate in that culture, but I think it adds to their bottom line, and I think the cast members that work in the spa, probably take a percentage of commission because I've been on other cruise ships where you do get the heavy sell on a lot of things, like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
The drink packages or whatever, just everything. When you get on, you get bombarded, but Disney's not like that whatsoever until you get to there. But my wife just said she politely declined, and the person that she was working with that she experienced, and she's done like one or two, was not super aggressive. Pardon my cat yelling in the background. She's pretty upset with me.
Understandable.
I think that's
Sorry, go ahead, Steve. I was going to say she's literally 100 years old. Go. Cat years.
I think that's the best way to do it. Just be respectful, tell them you're not interested and then just kind of move on. Easier said than done. All right. Before we go into the next part of it, I guess I would say that we've only done the Rainforest once. It was on the Fantasy as well on that 7-day. Loved it. Loved the different showers and stuff like that. But I think what's going to be a game changer for the Wish is the fact that they've got that huge outdoor space now, which is kind of taking over. If you ever look over the Magic and the Fantasy and everything like that, you look out over the bow of the ship and you see that pool out there. That's kind of a space for the crew. And that's what it looks like. The Senses Spa is going to have that outdoor space. And that was the one thing that was kind of disappointing about the Rainforest was just how small it was they had those like warm loungers and then a couple hot tubs, but it was kind of a small space there. And I never even got a chance to check out one of the warm loungers that people talk about because it was just like wall to wall people trying to get those. So I hope
which ship was it, Steve?
That was on the Fantasy.
Okay. And the Fantasies area is nicer and larger. I mean, the Magic and Wonder are like pale in comparison to the Fantasy and the Dream. So that was definitely, I think the good thing about this too, is I definitely think that this is big time, like customer driven from feedback they got from folks on board, that they wanted that to be more robust. And I think it's now evolved to that level.
Right.
And I think it's a win-win, because I think the ship is turning towards having more paid experiences on board, more upgrades, that kind of stuff. So I think
which brings me to my point. Do you remember what you said last night, Chris, about paid experiences and more tiers of it?
Oh, I do. Okay, so what I was talking about last night was that on other cruise lines, if you've never sailed on a different cruise line than Disney has relatively few categories. And you might be like, what are you talking about, Chris? There's like category 9F and 9D and 17.5. And you're just like, what are all these categories? But other cruise lines make Disney look like a mom and pop bed and breakfast with their categories because it's like, an inside cabin, but also we have an inside cabin that only sleeps a single individual. Oh, and we also have this type of cabin that allows you access to the spa. And then we have this type of cabin that has upgraded types of amenities. And it's like every single category. But what that does is it allows those cruise lines to operate across any price point. So there's a very entry level room for you if you're like, all I want to do is be on the ship. And then there is mega luxury rooms that are like multi-story suites with spiral staircases and the whole thing. And if you check out the Wish, there are way more suites than there have been before. There are lots of different concierge categories now. They built a literal suite inside of the funnel that is apparently sold out on every Wish sailing. So like what? There are so many different categories that people can engage in, that I think Disney is getting into the space of like, we can appeal to people who want a really luxury experience with an upcharge, and not everything has to be included. I may have said some other stuff, Steve, that you can fill in.
No, that was just the gist of it. Is the Wish is going to be a whole different moneymaker for Disney Cruise Line beyond the fact that it's their newest ship, just with all the different price points of access to different things that are available on that cruise ship. And just like the spa being one of them, as far as is what they're going to be able to add there.
But to be fair, Disney's entry level price point is still higher than every other cruise line, almost.
Right.
I mean, there are some luxury cruise lines where even the entry level is $10,000 or something. But than most other cruise lines, Disney's entry point, even for an inside cabin, is higher. And so they do have to have a minimum level of service, which I think they will still continue to have, which, everybody's used to.
Yeah. I mean, if you book the Dreamer Fantasy and look at the difference between a balcony room and an inside room, it's marginal. I mean, sometimes it's like laughably, different between, it's just like, how is this only $100 more or something like that? It will not be a lot of money generally, and the Wish has even more, a larger percentage of their rooms, I think, are balcony rooms, right?
Right.
So yeah, I kind of look at it as like everything is premium and then tiered premium, whereas other ships have this like huge range of inclusivity across all different, measures of disposable income or whatever you want to call it. So, I just think, I think that they're, looking at ways to, appeal to those top end sort of spenders on board. And I also think that's one of the reasons why they keep their ships the size that they do. They're not really relying on, we need a lot of people on board. That's not their model. I'm glad they're keeping things pretty much in line with the other fleet, though, I think, for the most part. I haven't seen anything so far that I feel like this is going to be a radical pivot or unexpected pivot. I think this is pretty predictable. More theming, more, a little bit more expensive, more concierge.
I agree. Dennis says other cruise lines are beginning to sound like a headache with the choices. I can kind of feel that way, but I think that like some of the things, like, I mean, Chris and I have sailed on the mass market like Norwegian before, and it's manageable. You just do the stuff ahead of time with them, and then it just makes it easier once you get on board. Maria says, I think the changes at Palo is kind of what we can see as consumer experience moving forward on the Wish. So we're not here to downplay the Wish whatsoever. I cannot wait to sail on the Wish. I think it's going to be
amazing.
Yeah. All right, let's run into the second part of this story of the announcement, which I think is going to be a fun one, Steve.
Yeah. So we also have 3 new upscale bars and lounges. Well, the first one I think I'm most excited about personally, which is Keg and Compass. Celebrates the adventure romance of the seas. We design around rustic 1800s Norwegian sailors' map room, and it'll be the perfect place to watch sports and a sample of specialized selection of beers. And I'm pretty sure they explicitly said there would be 3 exclusive craft beers on the Wish, just to the brewed and made for the Wish. I'm pretty sure that's what it was in the press release. There's Nightingales, which will be the piano bar, inspired by Cinderella's lyrical rendition of Sing Sweet Nightingale, and we located an extension off the Grand Hall atrium and featured fine wines, bubbles, and handcrafted cocktails. Another interesting thing is isn't the Hyperspace Lounge close to the atrium as well?
It is.
Yeah, so this is now, we're getting bars closer to the atrium, which traditionally we haven't seen. We usually just get that one bar by the atrium, which that's a little different now. And the Bayou, so Disney double, triple, quadrupling down on New Orleans themes here. An informal lounge theme to New Orleans based off The Princess and the Frog, and will evoke the magical marsh where Tiana and Naveen take refuge in the movie. It will feature creative cocktails, specialty coffees, and signature beignets in a lively social atmosphere. So some more New Orleans. Who would turn that down? I just got back from New Orleans a couple weeks ago.
Who would turn down beignets? They were like, people love the beignets. We got to put them in the bar. Though that feels like an upcharge, or no? Would you just be able to order beignets in a bar and get them for free?
No, I would imagine that's an upcharge.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an upcharge.
All right, so we know Steve's going to be at the Keg and Compass. Chris, where are you going to be at?
You already know I'm going to be eating beignets. There's not even a question. Also, Tiana is easily my favorite. So, yeah, I'll be right there.
And they get your specialty coffees there as well.
I could get coffee. I don't have to even drink.
Yeah.
So it's great.
I will say that as much as there's some things where I'm like, oh, we're doing this again, like the Rose is the Beauty and the Beast at Paolo. And I am just like, how much Beauty and the Beast stuff can we do, folks? But
here comes the hate mail now.
Oh my God.
Steve at Tampa.com. Send it there.
I just, I like Meridian because Meridian's Meridian and you can only get Meridian at Paolo and there's the theme, but whatever. That's a whole nother side. I mean, let me not be too grumpy. But yeah, I could never.
What you're saying makes sense, honestly.
Well, they're just taking what they did at Grand Floridian and putting it on the Wish for a little bit, right? Like a little touch of that and using, like, I guess it's the Cogsworth stuff. And then they're taking, a little bit of Oga's and then throwing it in there too. And so you're getting splashes of what's in the parks and that's fine. It'll be cool to see. I just always appreciate original stuff that I can only get like in a specific location, Well, so
I do like the naming experience that is only on the ships that doesn't necessarily tie to an IP, and that's I feel like gone. I like what on this ship is not tied to an IP. Name anything.
But to see, I'm clinging at straws here, but if they're gonna have 3 specialty craft beers, and I do enjoy beer, that are only on the Wish, that's kind of a fun. I mean, it's not a reason to spend $8,000 on a balcony, like, next year with my family to go have those beers. But, I think it's to say, oh, wow, on the Wish, have you got, I like having those original experiences in certain locations, but we'll see. I'm not going to be judge, jury, and executioner before I actually step on. So we've said this on other episodes. We know it's coming with theming stuff, and it is what it is. Is they left. I am really excited about the French restaurant too.
Yeah. All right. So we get a couple comments. Dennis says Keg and Compass sounds my second favorite place on the Wish after the Hyperspace Lounge. That's to be expected. I can't imagine Dennis not being in the Hyperspace Lounge. Darius says happy to hear about the exclusive craft beers. Finally, a hook to get my husband on board. Yes, I am with him, Darius. I think it's really cool. Norwegian's got this. Norwegian Cruise Line has this like 5-part episode coming out, and like the name escapes me right now. But if you go to Norwegian.com and look at like Back to Sailing YouTube episodes, it's on the YouTube channel. And one of the cool things that they do is they partner with some local breweries that they bring on, that they do specialty brewings just for their ships. And I mean, let's be honest, like the Disney Dream, that's all she does is sail out of Florida, 3 and 4 night sailings, and the Wish is going to take her place. There's some amazing craft breweries in Florida. Let's get rid of the mass market stuff and bring some local stuff on board to really make it a cool experience and flavor of the local area. I love that idea. Hold that thought. Liz says the beignets are an upcharge on the Wonders French Quarter, but they're free in Tiana's restaurant. Al says I'll be at the Piano Bar. I love the Piano Bar, actually. The one on the Magic is a nice place to go and hang out. And finally, Chad says between the Star Wars Bar, Marvel Restaurant, Princess theme bars, Tiana, Belle, there's really something for everyone crossing all kinds of IPs. Sorry about that, Steve. I cut you off. Back to the beer. What were your thoughts?
No, all good. No, I was going to say little things, again, stuff that probably a minority of people care about. But, when you're pulling into Miami and you have Jay Wakefield down there brewing or Civil Society, it'd be nice to get on and Miami sailing. We have, some local Miami flavor on there, but I don't know how that works with distribution and, getting short-term or if they can even keep up with the supply on board to have enough to, serve everybody that's on board. So I understand the limitations of it, but I do think those little touches are fun to look forward to when you're, if they can make them happen, but certainly having a little bit more selection with beer would be nice. I think that sometimes the beer is a little underwhelming on some of the Disney ships. I actually have a little theory and maybe some controversy to throw out too. And I wonder if you guys think this. I think, especially with our app heavy turn here on the cruise, I think a place like Star Wars Bar might be a reservation like Oga's is. I think we're going to start to see possibly times or peak times on the ship when, you only have a couple like spaces up there at the bar. I'm wondering if you're going to start to see like a reservation system partially at a place like that, especially because it's off the atrium. It's, limited in its how many people it can serve, and I think it will be very popular. That is just I'm just throwing it out there, grist for the mill, trying to stir up the pot a little bit. But I wonder if those things are going to be possibly you get a little reservation over there at the Hyperspace Lounge, not just running around getting a drink. I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think?
See that, but I also think that Disney's reservation systems create artificial demand. So like, and I'm a perfect example because I will sometimes sign up for like meet Princess, Ariel in the lobby. And I'm like, we should get tickets to that. And then they sit in our room and we're like, we're not going to go meet Princess Ariel in the lobby. Why did we get tickets for this 3 months ago when we logged in? Because it was a reservation system. And I felt like I should do that. Apparently everyone wants to do that. And I do sometimes wonder if, these reservation systems cause people to feel like there's scarcity when think about if there were no reservation system, what would happen? You would walk by that bar, you're on your vacation, you would see it's crowded in there and you would be like, I don't want to wait, 20 minutes to get in here. So I'm going to go somewhere else. And eventually the demand just sort of settles around the whole ship. And personally, one of my favorite things about cruising versus Disney World, because Disney World, I know they don't do fast passes right now, but for a while, Disney World got to the point where if you didn't know exactly what you wanted to do 6 months from now on any given day, your vacation was going to not allow you to do the biggest, most important things in the park. And I feel like no one wants that level of cruising planning, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I'm wondering, with some of the popularity and the addition of IPs, if you're going to see just at certain times, again, you're in the atrium and you're got a lot of people convening in those areas. I wonder, unless, like you said, it's just going to be, it'll be busy. And if you see a lot of people there, you get drink elsewhere, but we'll see. Just stirring it up. I don't know. I'm bad. I don't really care about the Star Wars bar. I love Star Wars, and I just give me a drink in the Keg and Compass, or I love the champagne. I like just give me a beer somewhere. I don't care about ships flying by. Whatever.
Okay. I've got two final things to wrap this up. But any final thoughts about the new announcements on the different restaurants, Chris? Or not restaurants, bars, adult spaces.
No, that I will want to experience each and every one of them at least once, and then I'll decide what things I like on the ship and like what I gravitate towards. So I'm cool with it. Honestly, I don't even know if we talked about it last month because I didn't get a chance to watch the news a briefing last month. But I was more excited when they were talking about bringing barbecue to the
to the upstairs
Deck 11 area, because I'm like, that's nice. I'd much rather have barbecue. Hopefully that's not like burgers and hot dogs. Hopefully what they mean is like actual barbecue options. But so I feel like I'll enjoy at least everything once, and then I'll probably discover the things that I actually care about.
So I got two final thoughts, I guess, is that I think that the piano bar may get a little overlooked between these three. But like Alice says, I think that's a great place to go if you're not going to go do the show after dinner. If you got the early seating or even the late seating, it's a great place to go and just kind of hang out and take in some live entertainment in kind of a casual space. And we don't make a lot of mixed drinks at home. So that's kind of a great place for us to get a nice glass of wine. And for my wife and I just to kind of hang out afterwards after dinner. It's a really great space. I'm excited that they're bringing back a piano bar. Any type of live music on board is great. And that's always been really good. And the other thing I think which is really cool, is sometimes I feel like the adult space, and this could be a whole nother episode, but being back there in the back of the ship, it's like you have to make an effort to go back there. And you're cruising through the lobby, it's 10 o'clock at night or whatever. And it's like, do we really want to go back there and have a drink? But I think by adding these spaces right off the atrium and doing them creatively, and so it kind of fits through the theme, I think that'll add to the whole atmosphere of being on the ships, because that's kind of the way I feel like when we've been on Norwegian. You kind of walk through that central area and there's something going on over here, there's something going on over there. And I hope that that'll add to it where you don't feel like, I got to go hike to the back of the ship if I want to go hang out with the adults. I think it kind of spreads everything out across the ship, so there's just more entertainment throughout the ships. I'm excited for it, I guess. Did that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm just excited for it because obviously time doesn't stop. My kids are getting older, so our opportunities to go to these adult spaces are going to be increasing. Hopefully, the last time we were on, it's been so long. The last time we were on, my kids were 4 and 2, and
you just turned 21, right?
Yeah. Yes. Clearly, Jesus.
High school sweethearts.
20. Yeah. Right. 21. Maybe in my brain, but yeah. So now they're almost 4 and 6, and next year will be 7 and 5, and I'm thinking, man, this is going to be great. You might have some adult tech. Yeah, I don't care. Throw me in the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge. Just get me away from my children.
All right.
I love them. Never mind.
Good discussion there, guys. All right, moving on. DCL also announced that along with Christmas returning to the parks, Chris, Disneyland.
Yeah, it's the
best. Very Maritime sailings will return this year on select cruises from early November through December. The ships will come to life with the sounds and scents of the holidays. All of the characters on board will be decked out in their holiday finest. And in addition, look for the holiday excitement to take over Castaway Cay as well. Our actual next sailing is November on a Very Maritime cruise. It's our first Very Maritime cruise, so I'm looking forward to experiencing that, and we'll definitely have an episode, at least with our family, and anybody else out there that is going to be sailing on a Very Maritime cruise or Halloween on the high seas. Please reach out to us. We'd love to bring you on and kind of share those experiences for people as the ships start sailing through the holiday season. So I guess that's not too much else to say about the Very Maritime cruises. Looking forward to it.
They're the best. That's all I got to say about them.
There we go. They're the best.
They're the best. There we go. There's my review. This is the best.
They're the best. All right. We got a couple more minutes here. Chris, you were just down at Disneyland, a week ago for 3 days?
Yeah, a little more.
Anything going on at Disneyland? Anything new experiences? Any thoughts to share to people who may be heading out there as the summer ends and on into the fall?
Yeah, so Disneyland brought back fireworks. So I got to see a fireworks show for the first time in however many months the pandemic has been happening. So that was fun. They brought back the worst of the fireworks shows, which is fine. It's called Mickey's Mixed Magic. And it's like, what if our fireworks show was more like a rave? And we played different mixes of all of our favorite, Disney tunes. And it's like, I don't know that I needed the rave version of Let It Go, but I did get it.
Edie and Mickey is hilarious, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, the whole vibe of that show. But, so I was thinking I'd be underwhelmed, but then I saw it and I was thrilled. So clearly time can heal all manner of things because I was very into this show, even though when I first saw it, I was like, what? Why are we doing Mickey's Mixed Magic? This is terrible. But anyway, my point is they brought back fireworks. That's cool. They also right now are trying to figure out what to do about mask mandates shifting for indoors. While we were there, we were still masked indoors, so it will make literal zero difference to us when we go back to the park. Wasn't a decision-making process for us. But outdoor masks still won't be required at Disneyland. And then Marvel Avengers Campus is no longer a line to get into. So you can freely come and go from the land as it was designed, which obviously is much better. The idea that you have to get a reservation to walk into a part of a theme park is, not that great. So you can now freely explore that land throughout the day, however you would like. And I definitely recommend making sure that one of your meals there that day is at Pym's Test Kitchen. Steve, you will love the cocktails and craft beer that they have. They also have just available there options, which are pretty cool, like you were talking about. So I think the way that the park feels right now, there's a lot of energy in that part of the theme park, and that's fun to watch because it's been a while since we've had an all new land. Pixar Pier was not an all new land. It was a retheming of stuff that already existed, but Marvel Land is the first new land since Cars Land, and that's exciting.
I need to get out there. My son has been watching like Disney history stuff. Like the YouTube algorithm will spit out. Like I think it's TPM videos. I think
oh yeah, my YouTube algorithm also sends me TPM videos.
Oh my God. And he comes up with that. As I was putting him in bed tonight, he's like, Dad, we really need to go to DCA, right? And I was like, DCA? Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, let's go to DCA.
I've literally never been to Disneyland. Let's just like, so he's like, I want to go to Avengers Campus. I was like, let's maybe wait to take a trip out there and have a little fuller experience when we do. And then we'll hop over to Tuolani at that point. But
totally.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'd love to get out to Disneyland.
Yeah, it's interesting because I saw like a really interesting piece comparing. It was written by like the Orlando Sentinel or the Orlando Times or something. Which, why are you in LA reviewing things? But okay, and their take on it was Disney is switching to the problem that Universal Studios has had for over a decade, which is screen-based attractions, where you get on a ride and there is a screen in front of you, and that's what the ride is, right? And unfortunately, in Marvel Land or Avengers Campus, that's true. Tower of Terror is a screen-based ride now. Guardians of the Galaxy is a screen-based ride now. And, Spider-Man, Web Slingers is a screen-based ride. So there's a lot of that. And what this article was juxtaposing against was how at Universal Studios Hollywood, they opened like literally the day of the pandemic started. So this dark ride has been sitting at Universal Studios Hollywood ready to be opened for 18 months. And I've been on this ride called Secret Life of Pets Off the Leash. And it is one of the most immersive, delightful dark rides I have ever been on. I literally would be like, Seth, we should, because we have passes to Universal. So I'd be like, Seth, let's go get lunch at Universal and ride that ride. Because we also live literally 10 minutes from it. So it's an option for us. So, and also Jurassic Park, I love Jurassic Park. So that ride, I think it has like 200 animatronics or something baffling like that. It's just like a very, very amazingly immersive animatronic based ride. And are there screens? Yes. But are those screens convincing and mixed with real live animatronics? Also, yes. And so I feel like Disney is at a crossroads here where they need to start delivering animatronics and not just screen-based attractions more consistently, because people don't like just watching a really immersive movie. They want to experience something tangible and right in front of them.
What is Ratatouille? I kind of know what Ratatouille is going to be. I've seen a few videos, but I don't really recall. I know it's a similar ride system to like Rise with the or Railway with like the trackless. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I think there's screens in there too, right?
It's screen-based, but interspersed with live sets. I do not think there are live animatronics, or rather, I think there are very few animatronics in the Ratatouille ride.
It's like a love-hate thing with that. Some people absolutely love it, and some people are just like, I'm not stoked about it. I haven't heard like it's okay. It seems like extremes, but that's a whole nother story. I think we got a question here.
I'll get that just a second. We're going to go all the way back to the Wish, and Chad says Piano Bar will have the sommelier bins. That is worth it right there.
Sure.
Anybody who's not familiar, the sommelier bin, if they open up a really good bottle of wine and it's not completely drunk, a lot of times they'll throw it in the sommelier bin, and you can get lucky enough to get a good bottle of wine at a little bit cheaper price. It's not always there's not always something in there, but it's worth asking about. You can also get it on the not the lobby bar on the Magic and the Wonder, but the one that's
you go up to Meridian.
Well, it's in Meridian.
In Meridian, but on the classic ships, I don't know where it is.
Oh,
it's where they do the trivia right off of I'm losing the name. It's where Tiana's new bar is on the Wonder, in the same space for the Magic.
Gotcha. Chris is looking it up.
The promenade. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I just found it.
All right. Also, Chris, you've outdone yourself. Your review of Mickey's fireworks is priceless. What if our fireworks show is more like a rave?
It's so confusing. Why? Nobody's asked for this.
Kelly's back tonight. Thanks for joining us last night, Kelly. This is 2 nights in a row. We need to give you a button for not just you, but Liz.
A magnet, a sticker.
A magnet, Derry as well for putting up with our shenanigans. So love these live shows. We'll keep bringing them to you. Derry has a question, though. Just curious, Chris, is it easier to get on Rise at Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland Resort since they also have Avengers Campus now?
Wouldn't you wish? Because we certainly wish. So I heard a hot take recently that I think I had to accept it and not be rash about it. Someone was saying, these queue systems are a little bit ageist. And I was like, well, tell me more about that. What are you talking about? And the truth is, if you are really good with tech and you have a really fast Wi-Fi connection, or you have, a 5G phone and all of that, you're pretty much like 90% of the time going to be able to get one of those reservations at Disneyland. I don't know about Disney World. I haven't been there in a while. However, imagine someone who isn't within a millisecond of the atomic clock going, realizing that they have to do that. And they've spent, thousands of dollars on this vacation. And now they don't get to ride one of these new marquee attractions because of that system. And so I was hoping that spreading it over 2 parks and having 2 ride reservations would be a big deal in helping with that. But what I've noticed, at least here, is that Rise of the Resistance still has way more demand than Web Slingers. And I think that the reason that is because Web Slingers is a D-ticket attraction and Rise of the Resistance is an E-ticket attraction. And for those of you who would say, well, it's just like Midway Mania, and Midway Mania is an e-ticket attraction, we just have a disagreement there, because I would say Midway Mania is not an e-ticket attraction. I know that Hollywood Studios wants you to believe it's an e-ticket attraction because they have so few attractions, but truly, if you think about the level of immersion that an e-ticket like Rise has, or even the original Tower of Terror, or, name Rock and Roller Coaster or Expedition Everest, there is such a level of immersion that those attractions have. And Web Slingers doesn't really have that. So I think it's an amazing D-ticket attraction. Totally recommend going on it. But it's not as popular as Rise. And so it's actually a bit easier, I think, even to get a Web Slinger reservation. But Rise, I have not seen any bump in it being easier to get on Rise. It's just as hard. Sorry to say that.
Chris or Steve, you have some thoughts?
I don't know. It's hard, I'm not local by any means. We're an hour away, I mean, somewhat, but I think we've had I don't know, maybe 60% success getting Rise. I think it's been tough lately. And we've never got then they reopen it at 1 here, and we've never gotten that. That one seems to be completely impossible. I think there's very few slots, and I think it depends on how the ride is operating throughout the day. So if they're not having any stoppages and it's doing well, which I don't even know. I haven't encountered a stoppage or a problem on the ride, but I know people do. I just feel bad for people that, again, that are coming from out of town and this is their main event. This is what they want. And they go to Hollywood Studios once and then they're not able to get it, as opposed to just let them wait online for 4 hours. You know what I mean? I mean, so if that's how, but if they're willing to wait, I mean, people waited for Pandora, for Avatar, Flight of Passage for hours. They still do 3 hours sometimes, So, I don't know if it's going to change or they're going to allow people to just queue up at any time. I even think sometimes, I was here, I did listen to a little information on the Magic, and they're doing the whole QR code thing with the menus and the personal navigators. Even people you talk about, it's not even ageism. I mean, it can be, but it's just if you're not technically savvy, I'll put it that way. Even just pulling up a menu now, using a QR code or doing certain things, it's harder for people, that are not that aren't wonderful with that. So, and that's sort of your only option for some things now. So it's definitely tough. But I do think eventually they have to open up the queue. I mean,
Yeah.
I do think you're going to get to the point because, it would be great if Hollywood studios would do that to just kind of eat people in that line too, because it could definitely use that. It can get real tight in certain spaces in Hollywood studios. Like, it'd be nice to have a ride that's eating up crowds. That certainly will do it.
It's weird though, because Hollywood, the queue for Rise of the Resistance probably can't even hold the number of the amount of demand that they probably would get if it was just open. I think it was almost designed in this way, maybe, or with this thought in mind, which I know they build out backup queues and they'll put, switchbacks all up and down.
Virtual queues, Disney. Virtual queues.
Yeah.
You let people spend money while they're waiting on a ride. What are y'all doing?
All right, that could be a whole subject in and of itself. So,
Totally.
So basically, to summarize, Disneyland. Make sure I got this right, Chris. The churros are still better at Disneyland versus Walt Disney World.
Yes.
And Pirates is still a better ride at Disneyland versus Walt Disney World.
Accurate. However,
I haven't been to Disneyland, and Disneyland's better than Walt Disney World. I can already tell you.
We definitely don't have time to open this can of worms, but I will acknowledge that one of the reasons I think our parks are better cared for, and that's not a debate. Every time I go to Walt Disney World, the amount of chipped paint and decaying infrastructure on attractions is shocking to me, because Disneyland is on it. And that's just how it is. That's how it's been since the 50th anniversary at Disneyland. So maybe that'll ring true for Disney World. But what I think might be a big game changer is 2,000 plus employees from Parks and Experiences are moving from California to Florida, which means they are going to be seeing their labor in person in Florida and seeing what a terrible product the decaying buildings are. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Josh Tomorrow's been walking around Walt Disney World for the better part of a year and a half now. And let me tell you, here's the thing. I don't know how people even pay to go into Epcot. I mean,
what's happening there right now with all of the buildings and all of that, but those buildings were literally just left there to exist.
The land pavilion is just giant. It's just a giant trash. It's just a garbage bin with where rides exist.
Yeah, with Soarin'.
The way you're saying.
I feel like I know I'm offering fighting words, everybody. And listen, Disney World has magical experiences, and every new attraction that they build at Disney World is sparkling and beautiful. But here's why this happens. The number one reason why this happens is because at Disneyland, it is mostly locals who are okay with an attraction closing for 9 months as long as it opens back up when it's sparkling and clean. In Florida, you have people who are like, I've saved up for a year and I have to show my kid this thing and it's so important to me, and nostalgia and all this stuff, because they can't just go to the park whenever they want. They literally can't, just drive down the 5 freeway to get there. And so Disneyland is way more willing to close down rides than Disney World ever has been, which is why your Jungle Cruise is being updated while it's open. And our Jungle Cruise was just closed. There's no getting on this because we are updating it all at the same time. That's also why we're for sure going to get Princess and the Frog on Splash Mountain before you all do, because they're just going to shut it down and no one's going to complain. I mean, some people might complain, sidebar, but no one's going to complain because they know that something beautiful is going to come in its place.
You Californians and your laid back passive.
I know I just got on my soapbox, but it's one of my pet peeves about Florida is that, like, can you at least put some new light bulbs in the Carousel of Progress? Like, can you just at least close it down and iron some of those dusty costumes that these animatronics are wearing?
Have you ever seen the video of like Ursula with her eye hanging out in the mermaid attraction? They just let little kids go by. Like Ursula's eye is just dangling, and they're like, "Yeah, just let them. It's fine."
Liz says that we're lucky that Christy is not on this recording because I'm just going in on Disney World. I don't even know why I love Disney World. I'm just going in on it because I'm nervous. I'm nervous that with these 2,000 people leaving, that Disneyland is going to become the next Disney World, where like there are not people walking through and constantly updating.
I actually was in Epcot today.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't very crowded, but Epcot is effectively a 365 festival with about one ride.
Right.
And I was like, how are people paying the full price to come in this place? There's like 2 rides in here, and then you have to pay hundreds of dollars to eat and drink. And people are happy to do it. I was like, oh, these ticket prices are going through the roof.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
right.
So this is fun. Sorry.
Fighting words. We're sorry, everybody, if we said something you don't like. It's just a fun opinion.
Dennis says,
People
Chris throwing down an infrastructure at the parks. No other podcast goes there. So I think Chris has painted Walt Disney World similar to River Country. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I do it because I care. I love these are very important things to me, and it just makes me sad to watch them decay.
Well, this has been a fun evening, you guys. Kind of recap what we talked about tonight, other than Chris comparing Walt Disney World to River Country, is that
not wrong on Epcot. And I love Epcot. That was the original park that I went to when I was a kid, and it still holds the nostalgia for me. But man, they've already stripped some of the original renderings for what they wanted for the park when they were redesigned. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not holding my breath. All I see is those big barges out in the middle of the lagoon, and I'm like, long showcase. Anyway,
in the most aesthetic park in the U.S. Obviously, Tokyo is more aesthetic, but Epcot is in the U.S. the most aesthetic park, and they're like, let's put these permanent barges.
You can't see any of the cool countries anymore.
Yeah, it's funny. Although I'm fully prepared to cry through the entire run of Harmonious because that feels like my jam.
You think so?
I think so because it's going to be like inspired by countries and places, and that's everything I love about Disney is authenticity and like all of those cultures being celebrated. That's what I want.
All right, guys.
Chad says Barjapalooza. I agree.
All right. Oh my god.
All right. I got to cut it off.
We got to stop. All right, Steve, we'll stop.
We'll stop.
All right. So
Run Disney.
As a recap tonight, Disney Cruise Line's sailing right now. It's awesome. The Magic, like I said, is plying her way through the Irish Seas. The Disney Dream Steve's ship is getting ready to sail August 9th. Excited about that. We'll have some shows coming out for you guys on that. If anybody is sailing, anybody out here listening tonight or in the future to this episode, if you're sailing the 9th, 13th, or anytime soon, please come on. Al, you are going to be sailing on a very merry cruise in December, you said. So if you're interested in coming on, please let us know. Reach out to me, Steve at DCLpodcast.com. We'll get you set up for that. Our family's going in November. We don't have a lot of very maritime stuff, so it'd be great to get some more of that. Also, anybody howling on the high seas, anybody sailing out there, we'd like to get as many experiences out there as we can. So as we kind of finish up, Run Disney is back in person. All 3 of us will be there for Marathon Weekend. Anamik and I will be running the half. Chris, what are you guys running?
I'm running the half, and Seth is running the 10K.
10K. And Steve, what are you running?
I'm running the Wine and Dine half and the Walt Disney Marathon half. And I don't have a place to stay yet. So if you guys have a hotel, anybody listening, I'll sleep on the floor. You only get like an hour and a half of sleep before a Run Disney event anyway. So hook me up.
And there's no rooms. So look for us down at Marathon Weekend. If Steve passes you during Wine and Dine, make sure you say hi to him during the half. And
but we're passing me at this point.
We're gonna try and get together. We're gonna try and get this put together some type of quick meetup. Those are always busy weekends, but one of the few times where a lot of us are down there. So we hope to get a meetup there. And I have to apologize to Dennis. Dennis and I were on the same very maritime cruise. We were both on the Magic, and we had to move ours over to the Dream. And I apologize to you, Dennis. We obviously would love to have you come on and talk about your cruise on the Magic and the very maritime cruise. And it kind of bums me out that we're not going to be on the same ship because it was going to be fun to be able to hang out with you a little bit. So as we get out of here tonight, thanks, you guys. This is a fun discussion. I think I've said all I need to say. Chris, any final thoughts?
I should let everyone know Christy's running the 10K.
Yes.
I don't want to forget to acknowledge that exciting thing for Christy. Also, maybe next month on the News Hour, we'll do a deeper dive into the Star Wars Cruiser because Disney Parks blog has a 20-minute video. Go watch it sometime in the next month.
Oh, I didn't see the video yet.
And it sets it up like it's a cruise ship. So I
think with the Imagineers, right, Chris?
Yeah, it's the Imagineers talking about how it's basically a cruise ship, and that's cool. So if you like Disney Cruise Line, you want to learn more about that.
Is that the video that at the end that you have to have a mortgage application to get on the Galactic Cruiser, right?
Mm-hmm, you do, or one of your kidneys. Either option is available.
Gotcha. Sorry. Go ahead.
So check that out. Because I think to me it looks amazing. It does feel very cruise-esque. So yeah, check it out.
Christy can't wait to get on there, huh?
No, I'm gonna jump in there and hopefully we let Dennis. I know you're still out there. Please come on, help us out with that one. We'd love to have you come on and talk about the Halcyon and what that experience might be like, and just kind of your thoughts, since I know you are our resident Star Wars guru here.
Exactly.
DCL podcast. So we'll get Dennis on and talk about that. Steve, any final thoughts as we get out here tonight?
No, I apologize for all the listeners that dropped after I after I got on it. We got on a tangent that was way far out the purview of news. But no, this is a lot of
news
fun.
And opinions. News and opinions. That's what people come opinions.
For. I think my wife and I are going out for anniversary for like a night next month, and we got some friends coming in from out of town in September. Although I don't even know now. I think I did hear from some people that they're kind of adjusting their trip, given crazy spread and stuff that's going on at the moment.
Yeah,
so be safe out there.
Definitely be safe. Chris, you're going to say something?
Just be safe. I think we're going to be hearing more about what these things look like, and you'll hear the news here. Don't worry, we'll keep you updated.
Definitely. All right, we got Dennis on board with talking the Halcyon. Let's do that next month. Well, whether it's the news one or just putting together a separate one, I think we'll put it together as a separate one because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of news as the ship starts sailing.
I mean, it's a 20-minute video that Disney Parks released, so you should go check it out because it's like all the Imagineers who worked on it talking about how they designed it, and that obviously is so interesting.
Do you have the website address, or do you know where to find that? Is the parks
YouTube
blog?
Just literally if you type in like Disney Parks on YouTube and you type in Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, it'll be the very first hit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. All right, well, as we get out of here tonight, thank you guys, both of you. Love talking to you guys each and every month. I wish we could do it a little bit sooner. Maybe we can add some more stuff on during the month, but definitely look forward to talking to you guys at the end of oh my gosh, August. I can't believe the summer is almost coming to an end. But thanks everybody for coming and taking a listen tonight. Check out our show coming out Tuesday. It's going to be at Alani talking about traveling around Oahu and spending time at Waikiki. Chris will be heading out in 2 weeks.
No, next week, my birthday. I'm so excited. Yeah.
You going to Alani?
Yeah.
Oh man. That's great.
So I'm excited.
So Chris will be
I've never been.
Oh man, that's
all right.
Awesome.
Steve's like, we got to go. So we love you, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back with more news. What's your closing statement, Steve?
Just thank you guys so much for coming back and listening. Thanks for all you the Patreon members out there that help support our show. Thanks for all the listeners every week that come out and take a listen to us. If you got any questions for us, want to come on our show, talking about Disney Cruise Line stuff, Adventures by Disney, Run Disney, reach out to me, Steve at DCLpodcast.com. Thank you, Steve, and of course, Christy in the background tonight for being part of our podcast. And thanks to all our listeners, and we'll see you next time on another episode of the DCL podcast. So good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Peace. Bye, guys.